Baruch Tov, everyone. Chodesh Tov. So in Siman Bet here in the Shemesh again, you read as the laws of kashrut. We spoke yesterday about the male deer. So today we're speaking about a law that I would like to speak to Avishai about because Temanim do this. I want to know if they still do it. So the law is as follows: when a person does shechita to an animal, so the meat now we check the lungs, etc., and now we say okay, the meat's kosher. But there's also the issur of eating blood. So we have to do what's called melicha, salting the meat, in order to get the blood out. Now you could eat the meat. So according to the Rambam says not only do you have to salt the meat, but you also have to do chalita, a type of boiling. So when you take the meat, you salt it. Now the salting's finished. Then you boil the meat a little bit, boiled it, and then you take it out. And now that boiling process takes the rest of the blood out. That's the Rambam's opinion. But there are others that go with the Rambam, which is the Smag, the Ra'ah, the Ritva, the Radbaz, the Ran. But even though there's others that go with the Rambam, it's still the minority opinion. And the Shulchan Aruch rules that you don't need Chalita. Chalita is extra, so to speak. And also the Gemara says that Enanu Bikiin Bechalita, we're not baki, we're not professionals in knowing exactly how much time in the boiling water needs to be, and therefore melicha is enough. And that's what we posek, Saradim, Ashkenazim, posek, all you need is salting. Temanim, they go with everything with the Rambam. And they also, in Yemen, etc., they would go with also boiling the meat afterwards. And the question that was brought forward to Rabbi Shlomo Masas was, what do Temanim have to do now that they're in Israel? So Rabbi Avad Yosef was very into that. When everyone comes to Israel, now the minhag is like Eretz Yisrael. Minhag Eretz Yisrael is like Rabbi Yosef Karo, Shulchan Aruch. And therefore, they don't need to do their minhagim anymore. Minhagim of Eretz Yisrael. But the Moroccans and each Eda were battling this. So Rabbi Shlomo Masas, he defends the Temanim. He says, no, they should still do what they're doing, etc., even in Eretz Yisrael. They shouldn't be getting away from their minhag, etc. So he says, now, what about us? Why don't we do chalita? So he says, number one is we salt the meat. According to halakha, it has to be for 18 minutes, but we go above the halakha. Everybody goes above the halakha, which they salt the meat nowadays for an hour long, and that's already enough. He says, look, if a person wants to be machmir, it's always a good thing to be machmir. If they want to do the boiling as well, that's a nice thing, but it's not required the halakha. And the Rambam's opinion is, so if it's not, like, what does the Rambam hold? The Rambam's opinion, he says, is that salting it even for an hour, or even if I replace the salt after an hour, I put new salt, it's not going to do enough to take out all the meat, and you need the boiling to take out all the blood. You need the boiling to take out the leftover blood. That's the Rambam's opinion, that the salting is not enough no matter how long you leave it for. So the Rishon Masas ends by saying, even though we're more lenient, we don't go with the Rambam's opinion, but sometimes we use the Rambam for a leniency. And he says, for instance, let's say you take this meat that was not salted and you cook with it. It was not salted, let's say. So it's terefa, it's not salted, it still has blood in it. But if you boiled it, then we can rely on chalita. And even though we're not professionals in knowing how much time it needs to be boiled for, nevertheless, we could be lenient and say the boiling alone could do the job even, and it could save, and we could be lenient and use this piece of meat. Similarly would be for liver, that you need to burn it, you need to salt it, you need to burn it. So even if you just did the boiling, b'di'avad, it would suffice. And the last thing is, there's a halakha that, let's say you have a piece of meat that was slaughtered, and for 3 days it did not get salted. It was in the fridge, in its blood for 3 days. Now you can't salt it anymore. No matter what, it got stuck inside. So that type of meat he brings down from Rabbi Rafael Berdugo, I think Malach Rafael as they would call him in Morocco, that you could do chalita to that meat and it would kosherize it even after the 3 days. Now all these leniencies is Rabbi Shlomo Masas's opinion. If it would come to an actual question, then ask before you go with these leniencies. But he just wants to show that we could use chalita in leniencies nowadays, even though we don't do it as a lechatchila which we only do the salting as the chatchila, nevertheless we could use this boiling as a b'diavad in certain situations. So we have to to ask our friends, see if what they do. They keep doing what they're on. Yeah, even here, we'll ask them. Okay, that's that for today. Minichat tonight at 6:10 and Gemara Shiur tonight at 8:30. Have a good day, everyone, and Chodesh Tov.